Warning, a lot of this part of the chapter was cut off because it was Kojiro's father's backstory on how they named him. Just hope you guys understand, because this would have been really long, and you guys have waited a long time for him, okay? Anyways, let's get going. Those were happier times. Sanjiro's voice trailed off as he stared at the floor, lost in his own thoughts. The pain of his wife's death and his sensual downfall washed over him like a cold wave, making him shiver. I couldn't have seen any more proud than that moment, he said, his voice soft, remembering the joyous occasion of Kojo's birth. You had been listening intently, the room silent except for the distant sounds throughout the butterfly estate. The warmth of the memory was palpable, and it was clear that, despite his flaws, Sanjiro had once been a devoted husband and father. Ruka was his port in the storm of his life, a beacon that had guided him through the darkest of moments. Without her, he had been drifted lost at sea. But now, the errors of his ways, he knew he needed to find his way back to shore, to the man he had believed to be. I'm even prouder, happier, even to see Kojo alive. Sanjiro's voice cracked with emotion as he looked at you and the baby in your arms. And I'd be forever grateful for Lady Yatamoto, who made it possible. You nodded solemnly, feeling the sincerity in his words. We all make mistakes, Sanjiro-sama, you said, but it's never too late to change and make things right. Sanjiro looked up at you with hope in his eyes. I'm sorry for all the trouble. I'll do better, he promised, his voice a hoarse whisper. For Kojo, for Sanjiro, and for Ruka. He then eyed you and his grandson. And for you and Tayo. He managed a small smile, still feeling unworthy of being a part of this beautiful family. You blushed slightly, feeling a content warmth in your heart despite the coldness you had held onto moments ago. You're now beginning to see the real Sanjiro Rengoku. Thank you. Just don't push yourself. You say you didn't want him to break under the pressure of his newfound revolution. Take it slow of being there for Ko and Sanjiro. I know they'd love nothing more than to have their father again. Sanjiro blinked, feeling his faith warm. You sound like Ruka, he muttered, his voice thick with emotion. But I'll do my best. Good God, that felt strange. Sanjiro was always been aloof and cold, so it was jarring to see him like this, so at ease and smiling. You knew Kojiro had looked up to him once and had even held onto the belief that Sanjiro would one day set his heart ablaze yet again. And now, sitting beside you, he's changed man, one willing to atone for his sins. So, his name is Tayo? Shinjiro asked, his gaze lingering on the baby, his grandson. You quickly pulled away from your thoughts and nodded. Yes, I actually wanted to give him his own name, you admitted, suddenly feeling nervous. What do you mean? The elder Rengoku's eyes narrowed as his eyes watched you spectacly. Well, you and your son's names each end with Jiro in it. So I thought it would be nice to try something different, you exclaimed, a slight blush creeping up to your cheeks. I hope you don't mind. You what? You squeaked at his growl in the low tone. I thought Jiro was like a part of your name. Kojiro told me that Ruka was the one who named him and Sanjiro, so I thought she was naming them something akin to Junior. You stuttered, feeling a bit embarrassed. She wasn't, Sanjiro said, his voice gruff yet firm with a hint of arousement. It was derived from my ancestors and the founder of the breathing style, Injiro Rengoku, and it reflects the lineage of the Rengoku clan. You inwardly barrel-rolled at that. Holy shit, did you just fucked up a whole generation's worth of tradition by not adding Jiro to your baby's name? Oh, I didn't know, you replied, and your cheeks were starting to burn up even more. I just thought, fuck, now you feel bad. You hadn't meant to disrespect their family tradition, but now you've gone and done it. The silence in the room was thick, and you felt small under Shinjiro's security. But then, to your surprise, a chuckle broke through the tension. You jumped at the sound of Shinjiro's booming laughter as he chuckles, throwing his head back with his arms crossed over his chest, his whole body shaking with mirth. But I guess it can't be helped. You've already made your decision. It's still a fitting name nonetheless, Shinjiro said with a warm smile, patting your shoulder immensely. Taiyo Rengoku is a strong name. Christ and Buddha! It was jarring to hear him see and hear this man laugh as he did. You'd only ever seen him cold, bitter, and drunk. But here he was, a sharp contrast to the man you've come to know. You released a breath you didn't know you were holding, feeling revealed by his acceptance. Thank you, Shinjiro-sama. He nodded before releasing a sigh. I haven't had a laugh like that in ages. I've forgotten how nice it feels. Indeed, it felt like a weight had been lifted from the room as the tension disbanded as he took a deep, cleansing breath, and soon silence descends upon the room once more. As you both glanced at Kojo, the quiet tone of the room was broken only by the faint sound of his breathing and sounds of the mansion. Hey, Shinjiro-sama, you spoke, breaking the quiet. Is it true your ancestors ate a lot of tempura, and it's the reason why all the men in the Rengoku clan have yellow and red hair? Shinjiro raised a thick brow at your question. Who the hell told you that? He asked. Cole told me that during our honeymoon. The older man should have known it was his own son. Why Kojo would lie to you was beyond his understanding. But no doubt it was presentable as a joke, or a whimsical explanation rather than a fictional one. No, that's just a legend, he said, shaking his head with a smile. Our flaming hair color is atoned for I'm going to butcher this name, the Kanakuri tradition, where pregnant wives of the clan would stare into a flame for hours to ensure the child would grow strong and have a flame-like colored hair and eyes. He exclaimed, Now you are curious, and want to know how that came about. Surely it must have been ancient or something. How did that tradition start? You asked, curiously quimmed. I'm not sure quietly. Oh, I'm not exactly sure. He says with a shrug, his eyes distant as he recounts the story, though it's speculated that a mother stood in front of a fireplace to keep herself warm. She later birthed a son with flaming hair. That actually sounded more grounded in reality than the tempura myth, and you couldn't help but feel a little closer to Kojo and his legacy, since you partake in that ritual. And that child later grew up and became a samurai. Over time, it became a tradition. Shinjiro added, and his eyes lit with pride as he recounted his family's history. On the downside, Shinjiro now regretted tearing apart the family's generational flame hashira records. Indeed, he had done so in a drunken delusion, but believing the flame pillar was a mockery of sun-breathing, the irony was not lost on him, and he spoke of the tradition now. He made a mental note to repair the records when he returned home, but in the meantime, he had more important things to focus on. His son. I see, you murmured. I guess that makes sense, considering fire is such a strong element that it symbolizes other things than just destruction. Shinjiro agreed with you, nodding solemnly. Indeed, it's not just about destruction. It's about personification and rebirth. But most importantly, it's about passion and love. You blushed, and your hair-colored gaze lingered on Kojo's sleeping form longingly. Yeah, it is. Speaking of love, the Rengoku patriot started, his gaze shifting from Kojo to you. Has Kojo ever given you any terms of endearment? Huh? You looked at him, a bit caught off guard by the sudden shift in topic. Terms of endearment? You shuddered. Why does he want to know that? You wondered. Well, he does call me my love or sweet flame from time to time, you replied, feeling a bit shy at the question. Is that all? Not actually. You hesitant, feeling your cheeks grow warm by the second. He often calls me Snowflower. Shinjiro almost cringed at the sappy, lovely nickname. Kojo truly is his son through and through. Huh. The older male quenches the bridge of his nose. The idiot is really my offspring. Huh? It just so happens I used to call Ruka Tiger Lily. He openly said, shamefully, but he won't deny it. You blink surprised at his sudden revelation. Tiger Lily. Oh, Shinjiro-sama, that's a cute nickname. Shinjiro grumbles. I suppose it is. Tiger lilies are actually my favorite flower, he confessed, his cheeks flushing slightly at the admiration. You couldn't help but smile at the thought of Kojo picking up that particular trait from his father. Is it because you're known as the Yokiana? The question pulls you out of your revelation, and you look at Shinjiro with a mix of surprise and warmth. Yes, I do suppose so. Shinjiro nods, his expression thoughtful. It's a fitting nickname, he mumbers. The snow is cold, and it is also beautiful. Your heart skips a beat at his kind words, and you feel yourself leaning your head against your father-in-law's shoulder, feeling the warmth of his newfound affection. Shinjiro really was a good man at his core, and it was clear that he was serious about making amends. It was actually nice to see him open up like this. Gone was the man you had come to resent, and in place was a man filled with regret and despair, longing to be worthy of the family he had shuttered out. You felt your own heart soften, understanding the depth of his pain. Thank you, Girinochi. You muttered, and Shijiro felt his cheeks burn brighter than a flushing stroke of bonfire. Despite his errors, it revealed him to still saw how much of you. It was a title that he hadn't earned, not yet, but one that he desperately hoped to be worthy of. Though he'd never admit it out loud, he was proud Kojo married such an amazing woman. Shinjiro was honored to have you as his daughter-in-law. Since silence filled the room, again, you adjusted yourself in your chair and tie you in the ring sling around your chest. Shinjiro shifts a little so that he can rest his head on yours, and still resting on his shoulder, and the both of you sigh, almost in unison. I'm worried, he mutters. Me too. How long is it going to take? Ruka said it could be days. Ruru said it could be a couple days or even weeks. You responded as you closed your eyes. I can't lose him. You feel something wet drip onto your face once and then again. For all of Shinjiro's sternness, he's a man who rarely shows his vulnerable state, especially in public. But here, in this private space, he's letting his guard down. And you can't help but feel your heart clench in sympathy. His body shakes a little as he tries to hold back the tears, and all you could do was whispered words of comfort. He's going to be okay, you tell him. Kojo is strong. After a moment, the room opens, and steps in Shinjiro. Nii-chan, I brought you urigiri and strawberry tea, he said with a gentle smile. He pauses. His eyes widen when he sees his father. Otia-san. The younger was taken aback to find his father sitting next to you, but before you could say anything, Shinjiro quickly wipes his eyes and pulls away, clearing his throat. Shinjiro, sorry, I almost forgot you were here. Shinjiro looked at his father, his gaze filled with a mix of shock and confusion. You sit up straight, noticing the distressed look on the younger boy's face. Hey there, Shinjiro. Thanks for bringing the food. You say, with a gentle smile. Pops and I were just talking. He came to see how Ko was doing. Pops? Seeing you and his father confused Shinjiro even more, as he shyly scampered over towards the two of you. Shinjiro could obviously see the nervousness on his son's face, and he felt a twinge of regret. He knew he had not been the best of father and understood why Senjuro was acting so hesitant around him. Honestly, he couldn't blame him. The man knew he'd been nothing but cold and boorish to him. After what happened to Tanjiro, Senjuro needed to make things right, to know his youngest son that he was still cared for, and that he's not a lost cause. And he's still proud of him. Right, what she said. Senjuro cleared his throat awkwardly, trying to regain his composure. Anyhow, how are you holding up? He asked, changing the subject swiftly. Fine. Sanjay responded with barely a whisper as he gently set the tray of food onto the overbed table. How about you? Are you feeling better? Sanjiro's eyes softened. Yes, I'm okay. I just needed to clear my head. You can obviously tell that this was probably the first decent conversation they have had in a long time. And I'm sorry for my behavior earlier, Sanjiro said, rubbing the back of his neck. I know I have been a terrible father, and I know you probably hate me. But He bucks, unable to find the right words to express his feelings. Meanwhile, Sanjiro was speechless. He had never seen his father so vulnerable, so openly apologetic. It was like the stern, untouchable man he knew was made of paper. Just who is this man? And what happened to the one who would ignore him? You, on the other hand, only rolled your eyes. You knew Sanjiro was trying his best to be sincere and decide to help him out. What Sanjiro is trying to say, Sanjiro? You begin, picking up the thread of the conversation. He is sorry for not being a drunkard and village idiot. He loves you, and Kojo dearly, and he wants to make amends. So please give him a chance. The tips of Senjiro's ears reddened as he snaps his head towards you, feeling a bit embarrassed by your bluntness. Yin, it's rude to interrupt your elders. But despite his protest, you could clearly see he wasn't that angry at you telling the honest truth. Blah, blah, blah. Stop acting all insidious and just hug your son, you said with a pouty face. I was getting to that. Do it faster then. Sanjiro blinked at the comical exchange between his father and you, the tension in his body slowly easing. He had never seen this side of his father, who was always so stern and unapproachable. The sight was a bit jarring, but also a hint of hope that maybe, just maybe, things could be different now. It would seem that the fight with Tanjiro had knocked some sense into Sanjiro, and now Sanjiro could finally see the man Kojiro and he had missed so much, their father. For once, Sanjiro was actually listening to someone without throwing a fit as he cleared his throat after playfully arguing with you. Anyways, as I was saying, Sanjiro began. I know I haven't been the best of father, but it's just, when your mother passed away, I didn't know how to handle it. He paused, looking at Sanjiro with a mix of love and regret. I was completely lost and turned to alcohol to numb the pain. But seeing Kojiro now, I just realized how precious life is. Sanjiro took a deep breath. Kojiro, I always knew he'd be a natural at flame breathing, he said, his voice thick with emotion as he reversed his gaze towards his eldest son. After Ruka died, I didn't want either of you to become demon slayers. I didn't want you both to die. Silence hung in the air for a moment before he continued. However, it couldn't be helped. Kojiro is a demon slayer, and I have to accept that. He then turned his attention towards Sanjiro. As for you, Sanjiro, he said with a gentle smile, you don't have to follow your brother's footsteps. You can choose your own path, one that makes you happy. The young boy's eyes widened at this. Ota-san, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being so harsh towards you and Kojiro. I've been nothing but a bastard, and I know I don't always say as much as I should. But I am proud of you. Both. Sanjiro's eyes swarmed with the ushering of tears as he took in his father's words. He had never thought he'd hear such words from his father's mouth, and it sincerely in them was overwhelming. The young boy's heart fluttered with a mix of hope and disbelief. And looking back, I realized I never hugged you as a baby. So, if it's okay with you, could I? The words hung in the air as Senjiro held out his arms tentatively. Hug you? Senjiro stared at him, stunned into silence for a moment before the tentative smile grew on his lips. He'd never seen his father act like this before. It was as if the fearsome exterior now cracked open to reveal a warm, caring soul. Slowly, almost as if afraid the moment would shatter like glass if he moved too quickly, the boy approached his father. He took a deep breath, feeling his heart race as he stepped into the embrace. Senjiro's arms closed around him, strong and sure, and Senjiro couldn't help but lean into the comforting warmth. It had been so long since he had felt his father's love in such a tangible way. You smiled. Senjiro really had changed. It wasn't that wash-whipping brunt anymore. He was a man, a broken one, but one who was trying to piece himself back together. For the first time, you had felt the true weight of his love for his sons. His regret was palpable, but so was his determination to change. Senjiro-sama, you're bold and brash, hard and cold like a rock, but still, deep down, your heart still beats. You say as you watch the heartwarming sight, where Tiger Lily would be proud. Shut up, Yume. Don't ruin the moment. An angry red mark comically appeared on the side of your head as you glared at your father-in-law with a pouty mouth. You old fart. I take back all the nice things I said about you. Shinjiro chuckles heartily before pulling you gently into the hug as well. He had been joking, considering your words had hit a soft spot, as he continues to hold you, Senjiro, and tie you close. He smelled roughly of dried leaves, and your expression softened at the gesture. The feeling of warmth of the family, truly a bond forming. You glanced towards Kojiro, who was still unconscious, his chest rising and falling suddenly. Hurry up and wake up, my flame. Your family's waiting for you. Notes, just to let you know, these are not the correct terms for, correct saying of them if I butcher them. Please, I am not a Japanese expert. I just know how to read and say some words. Notes, Giri-no-ichi means father-in-law, and Yome means daughter-in-law. And my, oh my. This was last updated on July 4th, and here we are, July 12th. I do want to say, though, Monday, I will not be posting. I forgot to say this with my Hero Academia one, so hi, my Hero Academia fans, if you're here. I will not be posting on Monday because my friend's having a birthday party, and these are all technically pre-recorded for the weekend, because I am going to be hanging out with her. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this so much, and tomorrow is a pre-recorded Tengen. Love you! Mwah!